welcome to Josh and Aaron Talk About Stuff. I'm Josh.
And last I checked, I'm still Aaron.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody watching the show. I see the little, views on how many people have watched it, and I appreciate you. And if you want to hear more, I mean, keep them coming and spread it around and all that stuff. But I really appreciate our few loyal listeners. I guess we're doing okay because they keep listening. I don't ever get any feedback except from my mom. You need to let Aaron talk more. I'm sorry, Mom. I love you. Like I am consciously aware of sometimes I overtake a conversation.
You know what? I mean, it's cool. I don't care.
Yeah. All right. So we'd like to talk about music in the beginning. Music's just good, man. Music's good for the soul.
It really is. It was like, yeah. It's just it fills that hole, that needed part. You're like, that's good. That filled me up.
But it's weird. It's because like music is like part of the universe, man. There's like good notes and bad notes.
Yeah.
And you don't even need to understand music to hear the difference.
Dude,
it's
I read
in the fabric of space time.
Yeah, like no, I read there's a guy I saw on YouTube who was talking about, he's like a music theorist, and he was talking about a musician who who didn't read music, and he's like, I know you're all thinking like, he doesn't read music, he didn't know what he wrote. It's like, no, he didn't know what he wrote necessarily, but I do, and I understand what he wrote. He didn't need to understand what he wrote. He just understood, this sounds good, and
Yeah.
I'm telling you why it sounded good when he wrote it, and I was
right.
But that just goes to your point. It's like an innate part of us as humanity,
Well, yeah, and like if you had never heard music before, you grew up on a deserted island,
right? Yeah,
like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Twins. You're just on a deserted island, and then you're introduced. Someone plays a note, you instinctually can understand that it's in tune.
Yeah.
But then if someone does the wrong note, then you're like it makes you physically double check yourself.
Right. It's the brown note.
Right.
But you wonder, like, it's such an innate part of humanity. Somebody who they grew up on a desert island and they never I bet you that individual still is like out there, doing whatever, fishing, going dun, 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 dun,
something
dun,
maybe.
I'm fishing.
Yeah.
I'm fishing.
Well, like animals make noise too, like a bird. There are birds that sing nice.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's some that cannot sing nice.
Oh, absolutely. My dog thinks that he has a lovely voice. Every time I come in the house, he sings.
He sings out of tune.
Dude, you are not in tune, homeboy. That sounded not good, Roscoe.
Oh, I saw a reel, an Instagram reel, and it was like the caption was, the only way to play auto tune, and it was, he had his basset hound on auto tune, and it started howling, and it was the coolest thing I've seen.
I'm gonna have to tell them to look that up because that sounds awesome.
There's something, I'm sure someone else has probably done that, but he was like, but it was like auto tuning. It was awesome.
Yes.
It was awesome. I was this guy I work with. He's my new friend, and that will come into play later. But he was born in like 1970, so I'm like, you are perfect age for 90s alternative hit, And he was like, no, I don't like it. And I'm just like, what? You're like the perfect age, like these guys, Anyway,
right.
So I was throwing all the bands at him today that killed his, Def Leppards and all that. And I was playing him Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Metallica. I was like, these are all the bands that killed your bands. It's just fun, like that. People just grew up different, man, and it doesn't like.
Well, that. I mean, I know that because that's obviously that's the same time I grew up, and I mean that was definitely. It was definitely a dividing line, because like Nevermind came out in the same year I turned, like literally 2 days before I turned 16, and I feel like that's like there was a split at that point, because you have people that are my age and
choose your sides.
Seriously, they have people of my age, choose your side, choose your weapon. People that are my age, and they stayed with the hair and the glam and the heavy metal or whatever, and then you have people that took the wiser path, right? You know, he chose wisely.
That's
To
right.
quote to
He
quote the end of
chose
Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, he chose wisely.
right or
Right.
poorly for the
Or
others.
poorly as the case might be.
Right. All right. So I don't really have a topic per se, but I like a topic, non-topic. Kind of had like an epiphany
Uh-oh.
lately. So,
An epiphany.
right. So like my friend, can I say his name? Does it matter?
You know, it's up to you, man.
Well, I mean, I'm wondering if I did already.
You
Anyway, it
haven't said
doesn't
it
matter.
yet.
All right, cool. He leans
We'll
right.
call him Steve.
All right, so Steve, we have a lot of it. We have a lot in common, but he leans right. I lean left.
You
And
lean
like
left? What?
just a little bit, just a little bit. Anyway, um, talking to him, like we have a lot of things in common, sci-fi, all kinds of stuff. We talk
Yeah,
about
sure.
all kinds, but we also, we have to choose sides, on those hot button issues. But like, it's been really eye-opening for me because we're still friends at the end of the conversation when we talk about the hot button issues. And like the thing that I appreciate is that we both actually listen to each other, and he can see where I'm coming from, even if he doesn't agree with it. And he's pretty much wrong all the time. I'm kidding. But
Come
I
on,
see where
Steve.
I know I see where he's coming from, and it's just like people can talk about you know the ones you're not supposed to talk about and be civil and be friends in the end. It's just the problem comes. I mean, there's always problems, but like the government's the problem, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's cool. So that's like a micro story of what I really want to talk about. So
I'm just going to jump in
yeah,
really,
absolutely, dude,
really
'cause
quickly. I'm just going to jump in really quickly because I mean, like hearing you say that, and it's like that's one of the most. Like I wish that we could put that statement out to like. I wish we had like millions of listeners because it's like that's like the statement that I think is so missing right now. Like, look, I don't have to agree with you and your politics to like you as an individual and to listen to you. If you can listen to me respectfully and respect what I believe, even if you don't agree with me, I'll do this, and I can do the same for you. We can still like each other as individuals just because our politics are not eye to eye. God knows we'd have a better place to live right now. I mean, that's so yeah. It does. I just think what you said is it's just like it's powerful, and it's just I wish that more people could hear it and could actually but people just and internalize it. It's like I mean I was at a concert the other day and there was like people there that I was talking to. It's like I bet you I know your politics,
right.
and I bet you that they're completely 180 from mine. But we're talking and laughing at this concert because it's a concert,
And
and the
honestly,
music
those
is
things are the more important
and the
things.
music is good,
Yeah.
and we're laughing and talking about the music, and it's good. Even though politically, I bet you we're a complete 180 from each other. So anyway, sorry.
When
Just
no, you're good, and I think that you could attest that I've actually grown more as a person because there was a point over the summer I was like, screw everybody, this is gonna
right.
I was just going through a bad
All
time. I was like, I
right.
want nothing to do with you, blah blah blah. So actually being able to go out into the world again,
Yeah, for
because
real.
I had
Sure.
been,
Yeah,
isolated and talking to somebody else who, and there's a lot of stuff politically that we agree with.
sure.
It's just like, and so it's cool to have like, it's like a, we throw facts at each other and whatever, whatever, whatever. But it's like sometimes I'm like, maybe. And I
Maybe
think
it's not
I
a
think
bad point.
I think a couple of things I've said has got him thinking too. But we're still like, and in this corner we have blah blah blah, and in this corner, we're going at it. But it's just like every time we leave the conversation, it's
What do you think about the
actually
new Batman trailer?
right. We're
Right?
probably like better friends after it. It's
Yeah, sure.
like
Because you understand each other. Part of being a good human being is listening to other human beings, understanding where they're coming from, and not necessarily agreeing with them, but being able to listen to another human being and appreciate the fact that they have a valid opinion and point. But that's the other end of it is that so few. We've also lost the ability to say, hey, look, I don't necessarily agree with your point, but I appreciate that it's yours and it's well thought out, and that you have an opinion and you deserve to have one.
I told him I had only one. Well, I had two lines you can't cross: being a Nazi. If you're a Nazi, I don't care what your politics are.
Right, right. No,
We're done, you know.
there's certain lines, right? There's certain lines.
I understand, but I have a problem with Confederate flags. You know, we don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about. I'm sure. I think we talked about it before. If not, maybe we'll do an episode on it. But like, I just like there's something like you don't have to be give in on everything about who you are. You can have some lines in the sand. If you're a Nazi, I ain't got nothing for you. I don't even care if you like my favorite bands.
Right.
You
Yeah. No, I get it.
totally are. Yeah. Anyway, so I think it's funny, and you gotta stand up for some of your core values. But my
100. Well, but
right.
there's a difference between standing up for your core values. Like, look, the fact is, if you are hateful,
Yeah.
then there's a difference between having a mentality that is conservative and perhaps different than mine, and just being filled with hate.
If you interfere with someone else's livelihood, that's a problem for me.
Then you and I are probably not.
Right.
We're not.
Right.
Well,
Right.
no,
Right.
not even probably. We're not going to get along,
Right.
because I got a problem with that, done a deep personal level.
Right.
But just be like, your political views are different than mine.
It's
okay.
okay.
It's okay. We can have it. We can have a
And if
conversation.
only our elected representatives would actually have a conversation like my friend Steve and I have.
Yeah.
Oh, you want in on this conversation too, bro?
He's like, dude, you're so on the money today.
Yeah, bro.
Dude, you're preaching facts.
Tell Uncle Aaron what you like to do the best. Give me five. Give me five. Oh, he's on a papa sign and he's all like wiggly and right.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Woo! Good boy. All right,
He
so
says,
like
Dad's preaching facts.
right. So this macro thing I wanted to bring in.
Sure, yeah.
Have you heard about or watched the new Dave Chappelle The Closer on Netflix?
Oh man, so I have not, and that's just interesting that you would bring that up though, because that's actually I didn't have a topic, but that was something I've been thinking a lot about. So it's interesting that you would bring that up. So no, I have not watched it.
We're vibing.
I know, man. We're vibing. I've not watched it, and they're in it. I've read about it, but I've not watched it for myself. Therein, it would be very hard for me to make a completely. I'm not even trying to be like, I'm not even trying to be a weenie about this. Like, people want to kick judgment, but I've not watched it. How can I fully kick judgment, right? But anyway, so go ahead.
Well, also so all the clips that have been going around, he told, I guess what people would be considered transphobic jokes.
Correct. Yeah.
But if you watch, so the left media went nuts, canceling, blah 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 blah, and they only showed a couple of these clips. But like, if you watch the whole show, near the end of it, he tells a story about befriending a transgender person, and then tragedy happens, and Dave Chappelle sets up this like trust fund for this kid of this transgender person. If he was transphobic, would he do that?
Right.
That's my question. So you have to watch. Context really does matter.
100%.
Context matters. You can't just show a clip of me saying, "I hate," and not whatever it could be.
Right. Yeah. No. But no, you're right.
Context
matters. And that's the thing. And then the other thing is that
Aaron's trying to decide. Is he gonna say what he wants to say, folks?
It's never okay to hate. It's just not. It's not, and it's not okay to spew hatred and bigotry. Those things are not okay.
Opinion, I don't think comedy is like the last bastion.
Well, and that's that's where I was going.
Thinking, and I don't think that. In my personal opinion, I don't think he was hating on transgender people, and from his position, it's hard to understand transgender who they are as people. Mm-hmm. And you don't. I think you don't always have to understand an LGBTQ person, transgender person, and they. But if you interfere with their livelihood, that's a thing. I don't think Dave Chappelle was doing that. He makes fun of a lot of people. And he
Everybody.
might have some more issues with the transgender community, but he wouldn't have befriended somebody if he was really transphobic. And so
Right.
people need to watch the whole show. And I don't think I spoiled anything because I can't tell the jokes like he does. But like the real point I'm trying to make is, the left went nuts, right?
Yeah.
If you and so this one news organization that I like to listen to, were like roasting Dave Chappelle. And I was like, if you only live in your world and you never experience anything from the other side, anything that the other side does, you go completely nuts. You cannot live all in one world. You have to experience the other or have at least one view from the other side. You can't be all or nothing. And go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I think that's my point. So like me actually getting to experience conversation with somebody who's not my view has helped me grow as a person.
It's such a beautifully made point, my friend. And man, we got all freaking poignant today. What the heck?
Give me another high five, bro.
we got poignant today. We got meaningful. No, but you hit right on the head something that I've been thinking about, which is we do become so locked into our own world. Look, and like you said, there are sides that don't bear seeing because they are. Well, no, I mean, like,
right.
Like there are some sides that don't bear seeing because the side is wrong.
There is a right and wrong in this world.
There are some things are right and wrong.
Right.
Some things are right and wrong. To hate another individual based on anything and prevent them from living their life and making their livelihood, that is wrong, right? That is just wrong. But we've become so afraid of wrong and become so locked into our own viewpoint, whichever side we're on,
right.
that like we can't fathom that. How could you say that, whatever that might be, whether I'm speaking to as someone who leans left speaking to someone who leans right? How could you say that? Or someone who leans right speaking to someone who leans, how could you say that and think that? Well,
ask me and I'll tell you. Ask me. These are the things that I grew up believing.
Instead of canceling me as an individual and a human being, you're canceled because you said a thing. You said a thing. You're canceled. Have a conversation.
Yeah,
and again, going back, some things just don't bear conversation because they are just so blatantly wrong that they shouldn't be said. But again, going to Dave Chappelle, my understanding is I don't know that was there, and maybe we should have a conversation.
Well, I don't know, like this might get us canceled,
Whatever.
The whole like homophobic, transphobic, the phobic part as an English person, doesn't that mean like afraid of?
It means
or
fear.
is it fear? So like I don't think like maybe he might have been derogatory 100%, but he was doing it in his comedic Dave Chappelle way. I don't know, man. He's more, I don't know.
The guy rips on everybody. Ain't nobody free
but
from
I
the
guess
wrath
he's
of
done
Chappelle.
transphobic a lot lately, and I guess they're tired of it. But
and
that bears instead of cancel him, why don't you? I bet he would be more than happy to talk to a transgender person and say, explain it to me, help me out. What can I do? Because I don't think he would want to disparage anybody from living their life.
Not what you said. I mean, based on what you said about the end of it, it sounds like he'd be the kind of, it sounds like he'd be the kind of person that would say, look, I mean, then talk to me. Tell me why.
Right. Absolutely. And like, left, I guess our left people are just so quick to cancel people when they're offended. And I'm like, you know what? You've been sheltered a lot of your life. And the real world is not going to be easy on your feelings when you actually grow up and go out there. Yeah. But like you said, there is a difference between that and hate. Yeah. Like hate needs to get canceled for sure.
Yeah, sure.
A buddy of mine sent me a thing, I guess. So Mel Brooks wrote
History of the World Part 2.
Right. So Hulu, and he was like, man, I hope that they don't cancel Mel Brooks. And here's what I said to him. I said, well, I doubt Mel Brooks at this age gives two shits about being canceled. Two things. One, he's 95. Right? Number two, he's a war veteran. he fought in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II, so he
Right.
can do whatever the hell he wants to do. That's my opinion.
Right, and he is one of the greatest satirists of the modern era.
Right. And so
because what Mel Brooks does is pure satire. And if you can't appreciate satire, and maybe, I mean, this, what we're talking about now kind of like rings back to the days of like early satire. And was it Jonathan Swift who wrote, oh gosh.
Robinson Crusoe?
No.
I don't know, man. Jonathan Swift.
Gulliver's Travels. Jonathan Swift wrote Gulliver's Travels.
Gotcha.
But one of his earlier essays was he wrote a piece called, oh, Greg, I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, it was a piece about the fact that there was a problem in England at the time. There were children that were not getting enough food, and people were malnourished in general. And there's all this problem. He's like, we should just eat the children, and that was his proposal.
Right.
An innocent proposal or something, but that was it. And it was a complete satire critiquing the fact that they had these children that weren't getting fed, critiquing the fact that the government wasn't taking care of its people. But people took it as serious, and they lost their minds. He proposed that we should eat the children. What is he thinking? Satire, people. It's the last bastion of hope when it comes to actual truth. Being able to.
And can you explain to our audience what satire, like, it's like I know what it is, but I couldn't explain it. Can you explain it to us?
Like, satire is humor, but it's humor with that socially relevant point. Usually satire is done in a manner that is so, I mean, like South Park is satire because it's because usually satire, it is so extreme in its it's so extreme that you're shocked. Satire, the idea of satire is that it's extreme,
but is it
and it
shock
shocks,
value?
and it's usually got humor. There's humor with that shock value and that extremity, and then there's a like you laugh, but you're like, I shouldn't be laughing. But they know
that they're doing it. It's like intentional.
It's purely intentional to make a point.
Gotcha.
I mean, like, again, Jonathan Swift and Mark Twain, and as we go modern, South Park
satires, right?
Yeah, right. South Park and whatnot. So yeah.
Mel Brooks can do whatever the hell he wants to do because he's a veteran of the greatest defense of freedom of all time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fought in one of the most horrific battles of all time. So if he wants to satire in 2021, 22, and if someone gets offended, you can stick it up your ass. Sorry for the language, people. Like, people need to stop being so offended.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and I know we talked about people going to college. You're supposed to go there to learn, but there's many disciplines there, so you are exposed to other thoughts, and then you get upset because you hear
something that doesn't jive with your personal mentality.
Like, I feel like, come on, like, I can't help you guys. Like, I don't know what to tell. Like, you just got to suck it up and take a pill. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I just think we've got. It's interesting that like for the longest time, that college was meant to be that bastion of free thought. I've said the word bastion
about crazy stuff,
but you know what? It's just a good word, bastion. It's a bastion of free thought, right? But it's supposed to be, right? College is supposed to be where you go to think and learn and experience, and sometimes you get ideas that are controversial
that you don't know or have never been exposed to.
Right, and the ideas may be controversial, and they may make you take a step back, and they may bother you at times. But that's what you're supposed to happen when you go to college. That's the point. And anymore. It feels like young people go to college. Like, I heard the professor said something and I'm offended. And it's like, well, you're offended because you're being made to think. And when it's all said and done, if you don't agree with the professor, that's fine. But
it's like I've seen if learning about the real history of America and the world doesn't make you upset, then you're not reading.
You're not paying attention.
You're not reading real history. It should make you like,
you should be bothered.
Question, like, is this how we should do things? Like, yeah. So, I don't think a lot of kids today would be able to handle Sam Kinnison's character in Back to School. I love that movie so much, and it's
the '80s comedy, man. It would just never fly today.
When there were no rules. I love some 80s comedy, man. Like, but Sam Kinison, he was a good one.
That was vile.
I told the story earlier today. So Bob Saget, right?
Yeah.
He played
The dad on Full House.
Right. And he did America's Funniest Videos, right?
Right.
And
And he was filthy live.
Well, yeah. So my image of Bob Saget until I saw this live performance was he's a really nice dude, like sweet, blah blah blah. I think it was like 2007 or 8. I watched his comedy special on HBO, and my mind stopped working for a second because I could not understand what I was watching. How Danny Tanner was talking F this and all kinds of that, and I was just like, what? And that's who Bob Saget is. His character is.
Yeah. His character is Mr. All-American Dad. Bob Saget is.
It's not. I mean, and he was like funny but raunchy, and you're like, oh, like, oh my god, how could he? It was a very disturbing experience for me because my image of this man had been totally shattered and upended. But I mean, that's probably what it was supposed to do.
Exactly.
Like and yeah. So people need to stop living in their own worlds, and then you've got to experience the other side of the railroad tracks, to borrow
Absolutely.
An old phrase. Go out and venture out. Because here's my thing. Like I might have said, I'm sure I've said this to you before, off camera. Like, if you really want to strengthen your beliefs, go out and have them challenged.
Oh man, so much so.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
if your beliefs aren't, if you don't ever challenge your beliefs, if you're so sheltered, your beliefs will never be strong. If you want your beliefs, the only way to know if your beliefs are true is to have them challenged and say, my beliefs have been challenged. I have thought, and I still believe.
And like, it makes you go back and do your own research or whatever it is you do to shore up your beliefs, and then you might have an epiphany and be like, huh, maybe that is a belief that can be changed, or an opinion that can sway me. Like, but if you want to know your mettle, you want to know who you are as a person, have someone challenge what you believe.
Right.
And then you'll know if you have what it takes to back it up or not. And then you'll know, hey, maybe I don't really believe that anymore.
Right.
And I think people are allowed to have room to grow and evolve.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely, 100%.
We did good this episode, bro.
Agreed.
Any final thoughts about anything?
Not really. There's like, oh wow, that was actually a really insightful discussion for one that we didn't really know where it was going when it started.
Yeah, you just have to be open to everything,
absolutely.
and you can have your core beliefs. Nothing is wrong with that, but like, your core belief can't be, I don't want to raise taxes on the rich, but that's not a core belief. That's just that's not like core belief. I want to treat people with respect, and I want people to be taken care of. That's a core belief.
Right, that's a core belief.
How we go about it.
If you can't agree with that, we got a problem.
Right. Cool, man.
Cool, bro.
How are the Ducks doing? Are they even in it?
I mean, like they've only lost the one game now, but they just haven't been playing well. They're not a playoff team this year. Right. Not until they fix some
Aaron's
stuff.
Guilty pleasure is college football.
College football.
The most corrupt
sport there is.
Oh, speaking of sports, just real quick, rapid fire. So Ben Simmons got suspended for his first game, and the GM was like, because he doesn't want to play for Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Right, and he's asked for a trade, and they had it. And he came to practice, and he was just going around, and Doc Rivers kicked him out of practice.
Okay.
And the GM was like, this could drag on for 4 years, because I guess that's what his contract is. And like, does he have a right to sabotage his team because he doesn't want to play there? Or
you got a contract, man. You signed the deal.
I mean, $30 million a year, dude.
Right? Seriously, man up.
Really good sports town. That's historic. That Philadelphia 76ers, when they're good, it's good for the NBA.
Man up and play ball. Seriously.
Just play it, and that might get you value later.
Yeah.
But if you're shit about it,
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought, I was like,
100%. Man up, play ball. I can't stand these guys who are like, I don't want to play for this team anymore. I'm going to sit out.
Right.
Man up, play ball.
The problem with that
is
do they get paid if they sit out? Do they still get paid? Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's fully guaranteed, so I'm sure there's clauses, but like,
I'm sure there's parts they get paid, but they probably lose like a per game or whatever if they sit out.
God, if I could make enough money to lose $10,000 per game, Jesus,
just be like whatever.
And like, I guess money doesn't mean a lot to people that make money like that, because like, he was fined $20,000 30 days in a row because he didn't want to do it.
he's like, whatever.
Like, come on, man.
Right? I know.
So, all right. Thanks for
All
listening, folks. We appreciate it, and I hope you keep doing it and share the show and all that stuff. And I know we've been a little sporadic lately, but we're both working men, and stuff happens.
Stuff happens. Just busy.
And let's hope Mel Brooks stays around for a couple more years.
A couple more years at least, right?
I mean, 95 is up there.
That's up there. That's old.
And he still wants to work? Jesus.
Gonna make another movie.
Yeah, I know, right? All right.
All right.
I'll talk to you later, buddy. Bye-bye.
Later, man.